the first question I think we need to ask ourselves is what is really driving co-working? Co-working, as we all know, is growing tremendously, but what is the drive behind it? And the key drivers for this growth, in my opinion, are the pandemic, the real estate market, and the search for quality of life. The pandemic, you can kind of say that it enabled us to check that working from home is not a bad thing to do. It proved that we are able to do this, and that opened the way for people to do that even after the pandemic. A very important, sometimes overlooked factor is the real estate market. In this graph, you can see it's slowly going down, but that is really just the tip of the iceberg. People who are in real estate, and especially in company real estate and professional real estate, are very, very nervous about the future of this market. A lot of empty buildings are coming up. We all know that, and they are trying to make them still valuable, but you can see in the books that that is dropping, and there's a big crash looming on the horizon. So there's a very nervous tendency in the real estate market at the moment. They are trying to fill their buildings, and they use, you can say, they use co-working for that, because a filled building is worth much more in their books than an empty building. And that is also, in my opinion, the biggest driver for Google and other companies to drive back people to work. They don't do it for the people, they don't do it for the work, mostly. They do it for the value of their real estate. So be aware of that. And the third one, the quality of life. Well, you can see we are happy people, and I think we are all looking for how can we make work and life become a better value, and where do we want to spend our time, in the office or at home? So this overall view brings us to 4 questions. So what does this all mean for co-working, of course? What does this mean for the office? What does it mean for real estate? And what does it mean for the quality of life? In the past days, people used to work roughly 8 days a week in the office. And that has changed. It was already changing before pandemic, and now it's even worse. The Mondays and the Fridays are desolate in the offices mostly. So what do you do with that office real estate in the time it's not being used? The first answer is co-working. So use that space to allow other people to do work in your office. So combining people together, and of course that has difficulties in how do you make that secure and how do you make that function. But this is where co-working really has a big role. And if we look even further, that space is also available in the weekends and at nights. What can we come up with to make that work? And I think that is a part of the future of co-working. How to utilize space even in the weekends and in the evenings. What can we do? A thing that contributes to that, in my opinion, is that the new generation, we all are moving away from possession. The shared economy is growing and growing. In the Netherlands, we have the blue-wheeled bikes. In many countries, we now have the shared bicycles or the scooters. It shows that people don't want to own stuff anymore. They're happy to just come and work at a place. They're just happy to use it and then forget about it. There's 3 kinds of co-working currently. One is the corporate co-working. That I think we all know about. For instance, what Google does, it's a place where they try to bring people together, make life in the office more enjoyable. They can go to extremes, as what Google does with the slide. I've been told you have to use it once a week. I don't know if that's true, but it's fun and it's relaxed, and it gives a totally different atmosphere to the working environment. So that's where co-working really is co-working among colleagues. There's a second version, and that's co-working in the multi-tenant buildings. And that is what, for instance, Spaces and IWG are providing, and many others at the moment. And it is significantly different in how we need to design that space. Before, in the co-working for the corporate, it's colleagues together. In a co-working environment, in a multi-tenant office, it's different people coming together. The person you're sitting next to having a coffee is not your colleague. He could even be a competitor. He could also be a potential client. He could also be your future wife. You never know. She could be your future wife. So it's a very different social interaction in a co-working place like this. And then the third version is the standalone co-working space. Those are the ones that are like, you know, a scale up of a Starbucks, where people can go into town just to work for a few hours. There's quite a few of them happening all over the place, but they find it probably very challenging to make ends meet in a business sense, because making money from a place like this is, I can tell you, a very big challenge. We've learned that in spaces, for instance, the club, the office, the co-work space itself is not a money maker. It's a addition. The money is made in the offices, and the club is an extra to attract people. It's like advertising to the company, and that gives a very different outlook when you design it. When you know that this is the only income of the business, then you have to design such a space very, very differently, with more seats and a higher density.